Welcome. It's webinar number 3. Devin here from the Archer World headquarters, or my garage, however you want to call it. It's a chilly morning in December, and we are excited to talk more about the DBR remote. Today, we are going to give you some big news about the DBR, and we're also going to take a little historical look back on how this product was developed, where it came from, and where it is now. So the big news is that we're launching the pre-sale starting Monday, December 21st. Go to archercomponents.com and place your pre-sale order. Quantities are limited, so this is going to be kind of like buying toilet paper back in April. Get it while the getting's good. So the idea behind the DBR remote really came from a meeting at Sea Otter a couple years back. We met the good folks at TRP and talked a little bit about integration. They were pretty interested in what we were doing and interested to collaborate with us. So once that relationship was established, we needed a little bit of help understanding the market though. You know, understanding if this was something that folks were going to be interested in the gravel world, in the road world. So also at Sea Otter, we met the good folks at Rodeo Labs. And again, they're super interested in what we did. And so that summer they reached back out to us and said, hey, we've got Philly Bike Expo coming up here in October. We're gonna be there. Do you wanna come and show off some prototypes? So we took that as an opportunity to flesh out this idea, to build a workable prototype, install it on a bike, and get some understanding of the market. Understand if folks thought this was a good idea, thought it was a bad idea. So we started off with a very mechanical design. This thing is super rectilinear. You know, it's got circular buttons. They're perfect circles. No real organic shapes here. It's all pretty boxy. But it was enough to prove the concept and enough in our eyes to at least show what this could be. We took that out to Philadelphia and the reception was great. People were super stoked on the idea. They wanted more information. They wanted to know when it was going to be available and blah, 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 blah. But there were some inherent problems to the way we had done things. Our first PCB for this thing had these really cool dome tactile switches. And I thought these things were going to be great. But we found out very quickly that people were squeezing these things so hard that they were deforming the contacts like quickly. And so we basically went through all of our prototype boards at Philly Bike Expo because folks were just mashing these buttons in. Anyway, when we got back, we started iterating on the mechanical design, transferring from these buttons to some other options that required a little more stack height, but they would be more robust in the long term. Then COVID hit and everything kind of went sideways. We knew we wanted to keep going on the project, but we just didn't have the resources to focus on it. So we put it on the shelf for a little while and came back to it in the summertime. The mechanical design was still pretty solid, but at that point we realized that it was time to start looking at the industrial design. So the good folks at Trailside Creative, based out of Austin, Texas, they did a ton of work for us in creating some really cool sketches and ideas and concepts. We went through so many different iterations of different button types and different places to put your thumb and where we're going to put the charger and all that fun stuff. So Trailside did a ton of work to get this thing to a point where it looked a lot more organic and a lot more finished. We then had to go back and refine some of the mechanical elements so that they matched up with those beautiful ergonomic shapes. And we also had to work on making it manufacturable. You know, it had to be injection moldable. We had to figure out how we were going to do the overmolding process. And to get the design right was very tricky because we're stuck inside that little cavity on the side of the brake hood. So we didn't really have a lot of room to move. So it was pretty frustrating. I will admit it was pretty frustrating along the way. Through the summer though, we got to a point where we had really nice, solid 3D printed parts. with 3D printing, you only can print one material at a time. We would print the hard part, and then we would print the squishy part, and then we would super glue them together. So those 3D printed prototypes, they were good, but they didn't show the final version. They didn't show the true nature of how this thing was going to flex under your thumb, or how the buttons were going to work or sound or feel. So at that point, we had to bite the bullet and really take that step away from 3D printing and into the next level. And the next level for us was with a company called Fathom. The folks over in the Oakland office helped us out with a urethane cast version of our design. And that's actually what you've been seeing in all the photos. This isn't injection molded plastic. This is actually cast urethane. Through this process, they were able to get us about 20 of these things so that we could do a final verification that the buttons are flexing the right way, everything's lining up, everything's assemblable the way it needs to be assemblable, and it's going to look just awesome. I think one of the best things that has come out of this is that I've rekindled my love of road riding and gravel riding. Prior to this, I had really been exclusively on the mountain, and getting into developing a product for a road bike, you really have to get your butt on a road bike and ride it. So it really got me an opportunity to just get back into it, and really fall back in love with road riding. It had been since I was in Japan. It had been about 10 years since I really spent a lot of time on a road bike. And it's been fun. It's been really fun to put the miles and miles and hours in the saddle and really work on this product and make this product right. So that's it. Webinar number 3. Another one for the books. Don't forget, the pre-sale starts on December 21st. Go to archercomponents.com. Place your order to get in line for the pre-sale. Quantities are going to be limited, so do not delay. We're going to take a couple weeks off from the webinars, have a little holiday time, a little family time, hopefully ride some bikes. Have a great end of the year, and we'll see you in 2021.